They are serious about Cuba. They do not care about Venezuela. They have never cared about Venezuela. The only thing they have cared about is that Venezuela helps Cuba by supplying oil to Cuba. Cuba is the dream. Venezuela is the rehearsal. They aren't going to go after the oil. That is Trump just distracting people, and maybe Trump even believing it, but everyone knows that isn't really possible. Marco Rubio has had to do a lot of flip-flops to become a Trump supporter after being a Trump attacker in 2016. But Marco Rubio has wanted regime change in Cuba his entire life. 5 years ago tonight, Marco Rubio also thought that he was finished with Donald Trump.
We had police officers, the men and women that we walk by every single day that guard the doors and we say hello to, out there with riot gear, getting spit on and attacked.
He stopped caring about those police officers very quickly and returned to the worship of Donald Trump so that he could then ultimately now become Secretary of State and fulfill the dream of regime change in Cuba. Here is what one Republican congresswoman said after Donald Trump incited the attack on the Capitol.
He needs to be held accountable. He needs to be in a position where he never runs for office again, can never hold office again. The violence was incited by the rhetoric. It was not just the president. There were other people, members of my own party, that were at the rally, members of my own party leading up to the rally, the rhetoric that was posted online on social media. I risked, and members of Congress risked their life for a largely ceremonial vote.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace didn't just condemn Donald Trump. She condemned the Republican Party. She condemned members of her own party for helping to incite the attack on the Capitol. And in as full a public humiliation as you could ever imagine, Nancy Mace once again became a faithful Donald Trump supporter. Those people, Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, Nancy Mace, hundreds of other elected Republicans in Washington, including J.D. Vance, have to manage a level of public humiliation previously unimaginable in their choice to support a man who they at some point condemned. Former Special Prosecutor Jack Smith explained to the Republican-run House Judiciary Committee why he believed his indictment of Donald Trump and the case he would have presented against Donald Trump included proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump was guilty of a conspiracy to overthrow the 2020 presidential election.
The evidence here made clear that President Trump was, by a large measure, the most culpable and most responsible person in this conspiracy. These crimes were committed for his benefit. The attack that happened at the Capitol as part of this case does not happen without him. The other co-conspirators were doing this for his benefit. Our view of the evidence was that he caused it, and that he exploited it, and that it was foreseeable to him. Once the attack on the Capitol happened, he refused to stop it. He instead issued a tweet that, without question in my mind, endangered the life of his own vice president. And when the violence was going on, he had to be pushed repeatedly by his staff members to do anything to quell it. There is no historical analog for what President Trump did in this case. As we said in the indictment, he was free to say that he thought he won the election. He was even free to say falsely that he won the election. But what he was not free to do was violate federal law and use knowingly false statements about election fraud to target a lawful government function. That he was not allowed to do. And that differentiates this case from any past history.
Republican Liz Cheney, who served as vice chair of the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol, described Donald Trump's conduct on this day 5 years ago.
Among the most shameful of this committee's findings was that President Trump sat in the dining room off the Oval Office watching the violent riot at the Capitol on television. For hours, he would not issue a public statement instructing his supporters to disperse and leave the Capitol, despite urgent pleas from his White House staff and dozens of others to do so. Members of his family, his White House lawyers, virtually all those around him knew that this simple act was critical. For hours, he would not do it. During this time, law enforcement agents were attacked and seriously injured. The Capitol was invaded, the electoral count was halted, and the lives of those in the Capitol were put at risk. In addition to being unlawful, as described in our report, this was an utter moral failure and a clear dereliction of duty.
Today, House Democrats held a hearing titled After January 6th, Setting the Record Straight on the Capitol Insurrection. A woman convicted of crimes for her part in the attack on the Capitol, Pamela Hempel, said this.
I pleaded guilty to my crimes because I did the crime. I received due process, and the DOJ was not weaponized against me. When Donald Trump pardoned us, I rejected the pardon. Accepting that pardon would be lying about what happened on January the 6th. I am guilty, and I own that guilt. I came here on January the 6th. I went from Trump's speech to the Capitol because I thought Mr. Trump would go to the Capitol with us. I heard people saying that Trump was going to walk down to the Capitol, so I went. Well, as you know, Donald Trump never showed. But the rioters did, and the attack began. The police officers were the heroes. They protected the Capitol and everyone inside the Capitol, and even people like me. I was trampled on by the rioters. And if it weren't for the Capitol Police helping me that day, I might have died. To the Capitol Police officers sitting, if I may address you for a minute. I am truly sorry from the bottom of my heart for being part of the mob that put you and so many officers in danger. I want the Capitol Police to know how truly grateful I am to them and how deeply sorry I am. I can't believe people are still disrespecting you and trying to lie about January the 6th. I will do everything I can to stop the lies about our brave officers like you who protected us during the attack. Thank you. Speaking about January the 6th has caused a great risk to my personal safety. I have been doxxed online, harassed, and physically assaulted. But I am here, and I don't care. I won't let it stop me. I can't sit here while Mr. Trump and others are lying. I also want others who feel like me to know that we must stop the lies being pushed by the Republican leaders and Trump himself.